What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about The Matrix. We're going to take a trip back to 1999 to talk about probably one of the most influential and probably one of the most parodied films of all time. And I couldn't do it alone. I had to have my man from Blacktastic Media come on over here and join me for this review. So a big thanks to him for being here in this video. I'm definitely excited to let you guys hear his thoughts in just a little bit. Loved hearing your thoughts on this. I'll go ahead and say that right out of the gate. And yeah, The Matrix. I hadn't seen this movie in quite a few years, but man, I've seen this movie dozens and dozens of times. This is one of those movies that I just remember at a period in my life, it was always on at people's houses, whether it was on TV or they were popping in the DVD. It just was one of those movies that I just remember seeing all the time, more so than your typical movie and more so than even the sequels. This is just a movie that I remember seeing on all the time at people's houses, whether it was friends or family members or their parents would be watching it in the living room or somebody's grandpa would be watching it in the next room. It was just one of those movies that I just remember seeing all the time in the late 90s, obviously 1999 and the early 2000s. So Matrix, starring Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Laurence Fishburne, and Hugo Weaving, is just one of those films that for me is damn near perfect. Now, of course, like any movie of this era, there's going to be some cheesy effects and some things that don't work 100%, but this film for me just genuinely works from start to finish. It's an exciting ride that's well paced, that does have good visual effects that I think, even though some of it's a little dated, still fits within the tone that the film sets up. And there's never a moment where you're kind of taken out of it by the dated effects. And even if you go into this movie today knowing some of the quotable lines, maybe the overall basic premise, there are so many twists and turns for new viewers who maybe just kind of skipped this one or never got around to it. I had the honor of being able to watch this with my girlfriend, and this was her first time seeing the movie. Before we started dating, she really wasn't crazy into movies, and if there was anything she kind of just missed from the past, she never saw it. So most movies that I review here on my channel are because I'm actually showing her movies that she's never seen. So Matrix was definitely on our list, and it was actually also the first movie that she had ever seen with Keanu Reeves in it that she could think of, outside of maybe something like Toy Story 4 where he did a voice. But as far as him kind of being the leading man and her actually being able to see his acting skills, this was the first one. And it was really awesome because, like I said, I've seen this movie dozens of times, but being able to watch it with somebody for their first time and see her reactions, it was great. She loved the film, and rewatching it today, I loved it. And rewatching it today, I gotta say, I love the film as well. This is a film that is just incredibly well acted, has fun visual effects and action, and you have a very well-paced story that is just a good, fun sci-fi adventure. Now, I have to imagine that most people know the story here. I am gonna touch on a couple spoilers here and there. I'm not gonna do a full deep dive, but I'm gonna just kind of paint with broad strokes as far as the basic premise here. You have the character of Neo, or he calls himself Neo, and he's played by Keanu Reeves. And he ends up having his whole world flipped upside down when he's introduced to the fact that the reality he's living in is not what he thinks it is. It turns out that the world and the earth is completely decimated and ruled by these robotic creatures that are sentient life forms that essentially have taken control of the earth and are harvesting humans and kind of using them for their own kind of experiment. And it turns out that the reality that Neo's living in is all in his head. The scene where he actually gets to kind of unplug and see what's happening and see that he's in this like stasis pod, and he's got all these other people that are naked inside these stasis pods, and he's like thousands of feet up, and there's just tons of people everywhere that are in these little pods. I love that scene so much. It really is a shocker for people who haven't seen the movie before. Like I mentioned, I did say I'm going to talk about spoilers, so I'm going to assume if you're watching this, you've seen the movie or that you just don't care at this point. But even with some of the things that you may know about this film already, I think it's a film that still has some nice twists and turns. As far as some of the character decisions and some of the twists and turns in the story overall, I think what they were able to do with this sci-fi premise is make something that was really exciting, that has a lot of mystery, kind of keeps you in suspense about a lot of things, while also keeping you engaged in some fun action and some really cool characters. So now Neo finds himself in between two warring factions. You have the group that is led by Laurence Fishburne's character, that's, you know, iconic Morpheus, the glasses, the outfit, blue pill, red pill, all that great stuff. And then you have the character of Trinity, played by Carrie-Anne, who is another great character that's part of the good guys in this franchise. And then you have the other side of the whole thing, which is Hugo Weaving's character, Agent Smith, and they're kind of explained as kind of like viruses or virus protection program, essentially, within this fake reality. And they're trying to get at Neo, while Laurence Fishburne's character, Morpheus, and their crew are trying to help Neo, because Neo is incredibly special. He is an incredibly special individual and doesn't know it just yet. But yeah, this is a really cool action sci-fi film with a kind of a chosen one kind of prophecy kind of thing wrapped up in the middle of it. There's some great visuals, some great costume design, and just an overall really cool concept. I have to tip my hat to the directors of this film, who at the time were the Wachowski brothers, and since then are now the Wachowski sisters. Good for them. I'm looking forward to what they do with the fourth installment. It's a bummer that it's doing the whole HBO Max theater kind of thing. I feel like it's a movie that is probably going to be best in theaters, so I'm definitely excited to see it in theaters. But yeah, I really enjoy the way that they directed this film. There's just something that just feels so cohesive. You can tell they had a vision. I believe it was also written by them. And this is just the perfect example of a writing, directing duo that just has a vision and executes on exactly what they wanted to do. And it's also crazy to always like hear the stories about the fact that Will Smith was supposed to play Neo in this. I am so glad that wasn't the case. Not that I don't think it would have been necessarily bad, but I don't think it would have been as good. I think what Keanu brings to the role and the way that he performs the character of Neo is just so specific to him. And I feel like this film would have been drastically different if you would have had Will Smith kind of doing his Will Smith thing. I love Will Smith. I've done a couple Will Smith movies here on my channel. Love him as an actor. Love him as just a charismatic entertainer and just kind of, popular person in general. But yeah, I think that this movie, without a doubt, would have been incredibly different if he was the character of Neo. But on an overall level, this is a film that I find to be incredibly well paced, with great action, great characters, great acting, and just a good, fun film that never feels boring while you're watching it. Now, there's a couple other things I want to mention, but for now, let's go ahead and hear what Blacktastic Media had to say about this one.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy, throwing down with another collab with my main man, Anthony A. Perez. Keanu Reeves, Laurence Fishburne, 1999's The Matrix. This movie blew my mind. But let's address the elephant in the room, Keanu Reeves. Dude was never known for being a strong actor. He was a weak actor in a couple of good films leading up to The Matrix. Point Blank. You had in 1984, Speed, 1997, The Devil's Advocate, which I think is the best ever acting role that he's ever did. And then out of nowhere, The Matrix in 1999. There's two movies in this entire world that absolutely blew my mind. The first Terminator and the first Matrix. Man versus computer. Man creates computer. Computer gets smarts, conquers man, destroys Earth. Both movies are identical, but done in different ways. And I'm one of the few people, everybody loves Terminator 2. I love it. I like the original Terminator better. I like it when Arnold was evil. I just like the rawness of that movie. Cut, plain, and simple. And the first Matrix is like that. The subsequent sequels just didn't do too well. The story got muddled and muddy, but hey, this first one was a work of art, damn near a perfect film. Just imagine, because I love computers. I'm on computers daily. And back in 1999, it was all about desktops or towers. And you got the motherboard, and how they use computer language to describe a world that we live in, a fake world. And we are like batteries to control and keep this world going while they're producing these fake kids to keep us alive in our minds, to make us think that we're living, but yet and still, it's all computerized. This movie fucked me up. I never forget it. Me and this young lady went on a date. she was a very intellectual woman, which was really cool because when this movie came on, after all the, previews and trailers, from the opening scene with the cops and Trinity beating people up, jumping up in midair, pausing, the camera pans, then she kicks the shit out of them. She's running on walls sideways. I'm like, what are we watching? I was on the edge of my seat from the beginning to the end of this movie. Me and my date, we didn't say a word to each other. That's how enthralled we was with this film. Just imagine, you're a computer geek, you're plugged in all the time, man. This is your world. You got voices coming through the speakers, through the headphones. You're like, man, what is this, And, when you're such a computer geek like that, like Neo was, you just think there's gotta be something else. I gotta applaud this movie for having the coolest nicknames: Neo, Morpheus, Trinity, the ship called the Nebuchadnezzar. Those are some dope ass names. The Oracle, loved her. Then you gotta get to Zion. This movie is so gothic. It uses hues of green and black throughout the whole Matrix. Man, this was a really cool flick. Shot beautifully. The two brothers came together to direct this movie, and no one heard of them at the time, the Wachowskis, but man, it was incredible. Now, they're not longer the brothers, but that's a different story. This movie, like I said, was damn near perfect, man. The plot, the storyline, how the bad guys are like a virus trying to... Man! They really thought this out. This movie was brilliant. And then when Neo finally accepts the fact that, you know what? I'm going to take the red pill and venture into the real world where there's darkness, decay, no sun, the sky is gloom, is poisoned. The water is, diseased. And only a few people are born naturally in this world. Such a cool concept, how they unplug them. This movie uses practical effects along with special effects in a really cool way. And how they program him to learn things, jujitsu, kung fu, karate. Man, dude went for 10 hours straight, just plugging in and accepting all these programs, just like we load a program on our laptop or computer and start using it. This movie was brilliant. I can't say it enough. I can't praise this movie enough. This movie is so good that the movies that came after had no chance. Unlike Terminator, Terminator 2 was a great sequel, and they never could do better than those first two movies. It was just, the first one was too good and the second one was too good. The Matrix, yeah, cool special effects, but once you know the gimmick, it's hard to surprise people again. It's really, really tough. A lot of movies have that problem. I love sci-fi. Man, and this is right up my alley. And like I said, my mind's been blown twice in my life in theaters, and that was the Terminator and this movie here. When Neo is learning what's going on and accepts it, that's incredible. And Morpheus has got to be the coolest character ever. Dude, the way he walks, the way he stands with his posture, he walks with his hands behind his back. Everybody was rocking black leather trench coats, black boots. Man, and Trinity wearing that tight leather, short haircut. Like I said, the movie was very gothic. When he went to that club and the women were just really out there and the dudes was out there, that's my kind of thing, man. I thought that was really cool. And the movie had a vibe of futuristic at the same time old school. The cars in the movie looked like they was from the 1970s. And then when you get into the Matrix, the colors get a little more bright, more vibrant. But man, the lady in the red dress walking by, just every little detail in this movie was incredible. The way they use slow-mo, freeze frame, pan the camera. I've never seen anything like that in my life. To this very day, people are still biting off the original Matrix. It was a groundbreaking event. It was a trendsetter, and can't nobody to this very day get with it. Another movie that blew my mind, first time I seen it, was Total Recall. That movie, again, is a mind fuck. I like movies that mess with your mind. I love sci-fi. Those three are the best to do it. Total Recall, Terminator, and again, The Matrix. Keanu Reeves, man, he was handpicked for this role, man. You don't have to be a great actor. You just got to sell it with face expressions and look surprised. And Keanu Reeves, one thing he can do is look surprised. What? What's going on, man? Oh, no, man. No way, dude. He does that well. And man, come on, rocking sunglasses, pulling out guns, firing at people, running through, shooting people. The helicopter scene was epic. When he first started learning how to fight, he was going against Morpheus. Neo, you're faster than this. Stop trying to hit me and hit me. I mean, Laurence Fishburne got one of the coolest voices in cinematic history. What a cool character, man. I love Morpheus. I liked him more than I did Neo. I ain't gonna lie. Neo was cool, but Morpheus was my guy. I loved his team. That ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, was badass. And when they got attacked by those drone things, I mean, this movie just was impeccable. It was peerless. It was that good. And I remember after the movie, me and my date was driving back to my place. The conversations we had, we just kept stuttering and like, did we just see that? That's how good that movie was, man. And then the minute I hopped on my computer the next day, dude, I looked at my computer different. That's when Gateway and Dell was real popular, Compaq was real popular. Man, I was looking at my computer and monitor sideways. I was like, man, am I gonna get sucked into the Matrix? This movie is an event that is magical. I'm so glad I was around in 1999 and seen this on the big screen opening night. That was an experience. The whole theater was blown away. They were like, you can hear them gasping. You can hear them trying to figure things out. This movie is all of that in a bag of chips. I'm just going to touch lightly on the subject of this film. I'm a fanboy at this point. All the logistics, I let my man Anthony A. Perez handle that. Dude, take the flow. Do what you do, bruh. Speak on it. And I'm out. Peace. And it's just my point of view.
A big thanks to Blacktastic for being here in this video. Loved hearing your thoughts, my friend, as usual. And you guys can find the link to his channel down below in the description box. Go give him some love and let him know I sent you. But yeah, man, I loved hearing your story and kind of what this movie meant for you when it first came out, and knowing that it's one of two movies that kind of blew your mind. And I have to agree, I remember as a kid feeling this movie just really blew my mind on a visual level. It's crazy because this film has gone on to become one of the most parodied films of all time. The whole, slow motion, I believe it's called bullet time, where he's dodging the bullets in slow motion while he's doing like this kind of lean back, super iconic, and also over parodied at this point. But I remember when at the time that it was such a big deal. And this movie came out in 1999, and I mentioned earlier that some of the effects are a little dated, and though some of the CG is a little bit dated because of course this was still in the earlier era of CG, the movie still looks really good. And compared to even other movies that I love from 99, like Star Wars The Phantom Menace, which, definitely has mixed reactions. But when you look at the CGI in that film compared to this one, yeah, this film definitely has CGI that fits the tone of the film and really looks a lot better all these years later. And yeah, you can just definitely tell that the Wachowskis had a vision for how they wanted this film to look and feel, and they really did use CGI in a very cool way. But of course, you're going to have CGI in a film like this that doesn't 100% age age well, but for the most part, I think it all looks really good. And there's also some really great just hand-to-hand combat in this film. The choreography for a lot of the wire work and a lot of just the over-the-top action that's in this film is incredibly well done. And yeah, this is one of those movies I just wanted to stand in front of the camera and kind of just praise, because it's a movie that even in today, in 2021, still holds up 100%. I was never bored while watching it. I was fully engaged, and being able to watch it with my girlfriend for her first time and see her be so engaged and so kind of pulled into the story was really exciting. And I look forward to watching the rest of the series, reviewing the rest of the series. Yeah, this is just one of those movies that I think will stand the test of time as the years go on. So yeah, guys, that's going to be our thoughts on The Matrix. Thank you so much to Blacktastic for being here in this video, and thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button down below if you guys enjoyed this video. Comment your thoughts. Find the link to Blacktastic's channel down below in the description box and go give him some love. Subscribe for more videos if you guys are interested. There's way more content coming. I'm going to be changing it up in just a little bit after this review. I got some supercut videos coming and possibly some vlogs and a new series that I haven't necessarily 100% nailed down, so I won't talk about it just yet. But I am excited to get more and different kind of movie related content to you guys here on the channel, and I appreciate each and every single one of you who has been giving me a lot of love and support right here at the beginning of 2021. I hope this is a great year for myself, my channel, and for all of you guys. So a big thanks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.